Isaiah 10 through 12. Woe to those who decree unrighteous decrees, and to the writers who write oppressive decrees, to deprive the needy from justice, and to rob the poor among my people of their rights, that widows may be their plunder, and that they may make the fatherless their prey. What will you do in the day of visitation, in the day of desolation, which will come from afar? To whom will you flee for help, and where will you leave your wealth? They will only bow down under the prisoners, and will fall under the slain. For all this his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. Woe to Assyria, the rod of my anger, the staff in whose hand is my indignation. I will send him against a profane nation, and against the people who anger me. I will give him a command to take the plunder and to take the prey, and to tread them down like the mire of the streets. However, he does not mean so, neither does his heart think so, but it is in his heart to destroy and to cut off not a few nations. For he says, Are not all of my princes kings? Is not Calno like Carchemish? Is not Hamath like Arpad? Is not Samaria like Damascus? As my hand has found the kingdoms of the idols, whose engraved images exceeded those of Jerusalem and of Samaria, shall I not, as I have done to Samaria and her idols, so do to Jerusalem and her idols? Therefore, it will happen that when Adonai has performed his whole work on Mount Zion and on Jerusalem, I will punish the fruit of the willful proud heart of the king of Assyria and the insolence of his arrogant looks. For he has said, By the strength of my hand I have done it, and by my wisdom, for I have understanding. I have removed the boundaries of the peoples. I have robbed their treasures like a valiant man. I have brought down their rulers. My hand has found the riches of the peoples like a nest. And like one gathers eggs that are abandoned, I have gathered all the earth. There was no one who moved their wing, or that opened their mouth, or chirped. Shall an ox boast against him who chops with it? Should I saw exalt itself above him who saws with it? Or if a rod should lift up those who lift it? Or as if a staff should lift up someone who is not wood? Therefore the Lord, Adonai Tzvaot, will stand among his fat ones, leanness, and under his glory a burning will be kindled, like the burning of fire. The light of Israel will be for a fire, and his Holy One for a flame, and it will burn and devour his thorns and his briars in one day. He will consume the glory of his forest and of his fruitful field, both soul and body. It will be as when a standard bearer faints. The remnant of the trees of his forest shall be few, so that a child could write their number. It will come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel and those who have escaped from the house of Jacob will no more again lean on him who struck them, but lean on Yahweh, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. A remnant will return, even the remnant of Jacob, to the mighty God. For though your people Israel are like the sand of the sea, only a remnant of them will return. Destruction is decreed, overflowing with justice. For Adonai Elohi Tzvaot will make a full end, and that determined throughout all the earth. Therefore thus says Adonai Elohi Tzvaot, my people who dwell in Zion, do not be afraid of the Syrians, though he strike you with the rod and lift up his staff against you, as Egypt did. For yet a very little while, and the indignation against you will be accomplished, and my anger will be directed to his destruction. Adonai Tzvaot will stir up a scourge against him, as in the slaughter of Midian at the rock of Oreb. His rod will be over the sea, and he will lift it up like he did again in Egypt. It will happen again in that day that his burden will depart from off your shoulder, and his yoke from off your neck, and the yoke shall be destroyed because of the anointing oil. He has come to Aiath, he has passed through Migron, at Mishmash. He stores his baggage. They have gone over the pass. They have taken up their lodging at Geba. Rima trembles. Gibbeth Shaul has fled. Cry aloud with your voice, O daughter of Gilam. Listen, Leasha, you poor in Athotheth. Madmenah is a fugitive. The inhabitants of Gibeon flee for safety. This very day he will halt at Nob. He shakes his hand at the mountain of the daughter of Zion, the hill of Jerusalem. Behold, Adonai Elohi Tzvaot will lop the boughs with tear. The tall will be cut down, and the lofty will be brought low. He will cut down the thickets of the forest with iron, and Lebanon will fall by the mighty one. A shoot will grow from the stump of Jesse, and a branch from the roots will bear fruit. The Ruach Adonai will rest on him, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and might, the spirit of knowledge and of the fear of Yahweh. His delight will be in the fear of Yahweh. He will not judge by the sight of his eyes, neither decide by the hearing of his ears, but he will judge the poor with the righteous, and decide the equity for the humble of the earth. He will strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he will kill the wicked. Righteousness will be the belt of his waist, and faithfulness the belt of his waist. The wolf will live with the lamb, and the leopard will lie down with the young goat. The calf, the young lion, and the fatted calf together. A little child will lead them. The cow and the bear will graze. Their young ones will lie down together. The lion will eat straw like the ox. The nursing child will play near a cobra's hole, and the weaned child will put his hand on the viper's den. They will not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth will be full of the knowledge of Yahweh, as the waters cover the sea. It will happen in that day that the nations will seek the root of Jesse, who stands as a banner of the peoples, and his resting place will be glorious. It will happen in that day that Adonai will set his hand against the second time to recover the remnant that is left of his people from Assyria and Egypt, from Pathros and from Cush, from Elam and Shinar, from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. He will set up a banner for the nations, and will assemble the outcast of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. The envy also of Ephraim will depart, and those who persecute Judah will be cut off. Ephraim will not envy Judah, and Judah will not persecute Ephraim. They will fly down on the shoulders of the Philistines on the west. Together they will plunder the children of the east. They will extend their power over Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon will obey them, and Yahweh will utterly destroy them. The tongue of the Egyptian sea, and with his scorching wind, he will wave his hand over the river, and will split it into 7 streams, and cause man to march over it in sandals. They will be a highway for the remnant that is left of his people from Assyria, like there was for Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt. In that day you will say, I will give thanks to you, Yahweh, for though you were angry with me, your anger has turned away, and you comfort me. Behold, God is my salvation. I will trust. I will not be afraid, for Yahweh is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation. With joy you will draw water out of the wells of salvation. In that day you will say, give thanks to Yahweh, call on his name, declare his doings among the peoples, proclaim that his name is exalted, sing to Yahweh, for he has done excellent things. Let this be known in all the earth. Cry aloud and shout, you inhabitant of Zion, for the Holy One of Israel is great among you.